This is teaching standard 4, plan and teach well-structured lessons. Frey and Fisher 2013 show that planning and teaching well-structured lessons requires good knowledge of both the students and content, which allows for sufficient progress and expectations to be achieved. This also relates back to teaching standard 3, 2 and 1, so it's quite important to be able to plan and teach well-structured lessons. This starting point is a lesson plan from my first volleyball lesson I did with Year 9s. From the start, the warm-up was poor intensity, and it should have been higher, and I should have corrected that. However, moving on, the first point that I do is way too progressive. Going straight into 4 or 5 students when they don't learn the skill was far too progressive, and it didn't work as well as I wanted it to. I feel like the whole section here, I tried to make fun games and make it interesting for the students. However, I skipped out on technique and what the skill was actually about, and just went straight into sort of games. The games were actually poorly executed, as the students didn't understand what was expected of them and messed about a bit with the execution. Here's the adapted version of the same lesson. However, this time it started off with a higher intensity warm-up, so it got off to a better start, and the warm-up went well. The progressions started from a lot of individual work and very, very basic skills, which built up to harder skills and ultimately into pairs and to groups. The progression were a lot more individualised, which gave the lesson better structure and a better pace to the lesson. Subject knowledge was now evident here, so being able to critique technique rather than just throwing them into a game and expecting them to know. So the progressions were slower, which allowed more time for individuals to get to know the skill, get to learn the skill and the correct technique, as they were doing it individually for a long period of time. Before moving on, the starting point for the original was basically nearly the end point for this adapted version, as the progressions made it up to the end, which was which is almost groups here, which was my first progression of the original. Also, with the newly one, with the adapted one, there were handouts which showed correct technique and made for better understanding of the skill and what was expected of the students. This was both visual and so that they could read what was expected of them, as well as demonstrations which gave them a better understanding of what was expected. Just to recap the actual impact on pupil progress. So from the adapted one, they were able to progress at different rates, so there was individualised, and regressions could take place if the technique wasn't correct. They could go back to the step before and carry on from there. So yeah, the correct technique was given. There's plenty of time with individual and working together, so there was more time to focus on the skill and make progress with correct technique throughout. And at the end, they were aiming for targets, which meant there's more game situations where they'd be aiming for the setter rather than just throwing the ball up in the air and hoping for the best.